I think, John, with regard to Apple, you have a push-pull on whether it's a hardware company or whether it's a software and services company. And at any one point, one of the pushes or the pulls is going to be in the ascendancy. I think for the next 2-3 weeks, it's clearly going to be the folks who think Apple's a hardware company, and the news is not terribly good. The problem in China, I think, is a substantive one. The main thing that I think is emphasized is that for the Chinese, the important thing is the game platform. WeChat controls that, and WeChat is very agnostic on the device that it's on. So why pay 3x for the Apple versus 1x for the Android?
Right.
So China's going to be a problem until they build software. Go back to the United States. I think the news is actually pretty good there. I think with the MasterCard numbers, there's room for non-store retailers to do very good or very well. And I think Apple is the classic non-store retailer, particularly in the software and services area. So
okay.
I'm looking for much better numbers or much better performance once Apple reports. But before then, I think it's really going to be dead money at this point.
Now, Bruce, we're on day 21 of a government shutdown, entering uncharted territory. Whether you're looking at the consumer, which might begin to be affected if this drags on, or certainly at companies that do business with the government, what do you expect the impact of that and other external factors to be on earnings?
Well, so far, of course, there's been no impact on the markets. The markets are sharply higher ever since the shutdown began. So I think it's mostly noise there. I think the most important factor for the stock market right now is the debate between China and the U.S. over trade negotiations. I think that's the important focus, and I don't think the government shutdown is going to influence the markets very much.
Larry, do you think China's a good gauge, or I should say Apple is a good gauge of what's happening in China more broadly right now?
I think to some extent it is, to some extent it isn't. I think the thing that is slowing down in China is the game business. And you look at a big game producer like NetEase, and the stock is very, very weak today. And the Chinese consumer is very game oriented. I go and look at other signs of China, though, particularly business in Macau. And business in Macau is terrific. And I'm expecting it to continue to be terrific, certainly through Chinese New Year, which I think this year is the first week in February. So there's a little bit of a slowdown. I don't think it's too terribly much. But the industrial part of China seems to be slowing fairly significantly. And the Chinese government is really incented, and particularly in terms of moving the people from the villages into the cities to make the economy grow. So I think there's probably more pressure on the Chinese to make a trade deal than on the government. And I think at the end of the day, our government, that at the end of the day, both parties will come to reason, and we can live happily ever after. And I think the economics are very, very good on both sides. The economics of the consumer in the United States are pretty good. The economics in China, particularly in the southern region, which used to be Canton, Hong Kong, they're very good. Hong Kong property values are growing again. So I think it's going to have a happy ending, Morgan.